You're listening to Tales from the Flipside. Tales from the Flipside. Tales from the Flipside.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us this week. It is going to be a fun night. We have a ton of stuff to talk about. We're getting it by the minute, gentlemen, by the minute. So episode 141, CBSI presents Tales from the Flipside. We appreciate everybody who's joined us tonight. Again, fun night. We got the whole crew is here, ladies and gentlemen. The whole crew is here. It's like Voltron has formed again. I am Bryan McClay, and I'll take whatever I can on that Voltron. So, gentlemen, introduce yourself.
Well, you're obviously the hair.
The hair. I'll take
Deno. I guess my little spiel. I haven't told the boys yet. I'm gonna share my screen though. But we had a tragic loss in my little hometown that I live in, and the only reason I bring this up is that the parents, one was critically injured. They lost. It's sad news. They lost a 6-year-old girl too, by a drunk driver. He was going like 90 on the. Oh, it was brutal. But he was a comic book artist, so Nick Melanchek is a guy who does Motor City Comic Con for us. And I do want to say that they got a GoFundMe going, and I'll post the link in the old chat here. That everybody, if you could, just always try to go and support. They had a goal of 10,000. They're already at 50. Obviously more and more.
Wow, that's
yeah.
Amazing. The outpouring.
Yeah. So if people could donate, it's always a good thing. That's my little speech tonight. So that's it.
Yes.
I didn't bring it at the end, but I wanted to remember that I did.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible to hear.
Wow. I'm Nico. Yeah. That's horrific. I represent survivors of those kinds of tragedies. I do it for a living. You don't get numb to it. It's just ugly, and it stays ugly. I'm Nico, your weekend update correspondent with comicbookinvest.com, host of the Saturday Night Live Modern Playbook and Comic Book Strategic Investment, which generally is 9 p.m. Saturday night Eastern Standard Time. This Saturday, we will be joined by my friend, the owner of Spawn World, and it's going to be amazing. If you're a Spawn fanatic like me and grew up in the 90s and remember the formation of Image, even if you've dipped out for a little bit, or you got a little nostalgia, whether you're a current Spawn reader or a card collector or a video game connoisseur, or you like John Leguizamo being the Violator, this is your podcast. It'll be informative and cool.
Sweet. Jon Z here. Terrible news Deno sharing. I did see that we have a fan from Serbia of all places. So welcome, my friend. And Arcadia, love comic art. That's awesome that we were spreading that far around the globe. So cool. And welcome, guys.
How many Serbian comics do you have, Z?
I do not have any.
None?
Yet.
Arcadia, little did you know, you just got dragged into a mousetrap.
Yeah, put your email in the chat there, Z, and he'll reach out. I reached out to Kay Titus in Japan, and I asked him to email me, see if he can get me something I'm looking for. If it exists, I don't know. But
Matt told me that there's non-canon turtle books in Mexico. Just in case you want to hunt those.
Get me a link. Z, it's not your dog this time.
No, my dog.
If you can hear it, I don't know what you guys can. I can't hear in the background. Anyway, I'm Paul. I'm here, and that's all I got. I'm just happy to be here because I have an ongoing work conflict. So I made it. It's the best I can do for now.
Hey, yeah, me too. It's been, and I'm still in a hotel in Chicago. But I want you to look. I got a cool, rare double gummy bear.
Nice.
The good life.
It's a double cover gummy
That's-
bear.
That's karma there.
Does it look like Jesus at all?
No, doesn't even.
If you squint, could you sell it that it looks like Jesus?
Nope, I don't think so.
How do they grade those double covers? They grade the inside
Yes.
only, and not the outer
Well, they
cover.
give the outside a
But
grade.
you get the grade on the innermost.
Interesting.
Which is kind of stupid because that's not the one you see.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
I would kind of like to have a really beat up one, outer cover, and have it be a really good grade. Conjoined twin.
Yeah. So, all right, we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about tonight, guys. Thank you for everybody who's joined us. Much love to the live chat. The live chat is what makes this show fun for us, guys. We really appreciate all of you. Just let it fly. We enjoy it, and we hope we can answer any questions that you guys have and fun stuff like that. But I think the craziness is that, well, obviously the Mandalorian trailer is dropping tonight. We will definitely have more information of that, you guys, coming. We're kind of hoping for the trailer to drop and do like a live little, talk about it. So we'll do that when that comes. But man, like, I don't know, where do you guys want to start tonight? You want to start about the Miles stuff that everybody's talking about? I feel like that is kind of the biggest stuff. There was a leaked audition / be real type something that showed, I guess, a Miles actor, an actor that the rumor is that I guess they like playing that role, acting like he's Miles watching TV or something. Does that sound right?
Yeah,
Nico?
that's precisely what occurred. Shout out to Charlie Murphy. Every time I hear his name, I just think about the Dave Chappelle skit. It makes me smile. He's good. He's as good as it gets when it comes to scoopers. He's somebody who I follow and somebody who I would encourage you to follow. When he talks about these leaks, unlike some sources, which are utterly unreliable, you know who they are. I listen. So he indicated that this had leaked online. It's being pulled down every time it gets reposted, which tells me there's probably some validity to it. And I like it. Now, just because they're running lines with a prospective actor, does that necessarily mean that this is going to be the plot of Spider-Man 3? I don't know. Who knows? But it would certainly explain the astronomical run on Ultimate Fallout 4 that happened in the middle of COVID. It would explain a lot about Miles. I mean, I'm excited, and essentially the lines that they ran were following the death of Peter Parker, how Miles, a delivery driver, would respond to it. I have not seen the video. I did share the screen cap from Murphy's Multiverse on our IG page, but I assume that it will come to light much in the same way that some of the other prospective castings have come to light. You may recall there was one with America Chavez just a few short months ago, and that was followed up by a casting of an actress to play in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness that would fit, with the criteria to be a young America Chavez on the big screen. So time will tell, but it's really interesting.
Another no name, right? If this is
It looks like, yeah, it looks like it.
I don't, who knows if that was the person that was actually cast, right? I mean, that's the nature of auditions, but it's certainly interesting.
Yeah.
I think it could work out, like the loosely no name, but I mean, like Daredevil comes to mind on Netflix, where it's like, I don't know who that guy is. and you watch it and you're like, it's freaking awesome.
Well, let's be honest. Like the news about all the different Spider-Verse talk with the different Spider-Men coming back to play a role, it sounds like they're all going to have like a 3-second or even maybe a little bit longer, part in this movie. And if DC knows what they have and they know what they need to do to get there, and that's how they bring Miles into this, obviously. So this could be that 3-second Miles idea, for that episode. And if that's the case, I mean,
I've heard a lot
crap.
of different plot lines postulated that, Peter Parker's on the run. Doctor Strange shows up and is like, I need your help. They jump into the multiverse following, and what is this stuff? Fan fiction? Yeah, sure. Right. It's just people sort of hypothesizing, but they're really coherent in a way that again, we know those leakers who just do a Wikipedia search and they're like, these are the people. And you're just like, no, they're not.
Of course, this is all dependent on whether we actually ever get to see any movies back in a theater again.
I'm glad you said that, Ben. So, there's a lot of people that are really vocal in our community, especially, but certainly on the television, that assume that movie theaters, as we know and love them, may need to transform into something different. Some people suggest that there will be a move to streaming with a ton of content on these streaming sites, simply because when they run the numbers, there's got to be some sort of major chipping away at Netflix's subscription rates in order for the other streaming services to kind of catch up or ever catch Netflix. I hear a lot of people talk about the end of movie theaters. I mean, do you guys really foresee that, or do you think we're just going to see sort of like instead of a chapter 7 bankruptcy of all the theaters, sort of a chapter 11 reorganization and rolling out sort of a newer product?
It's going to be different because speaking with, I've got a family, so it's not a cheap endeavor to go. So if I can watch it on streaming for $20 versus me taking 3 kids and 5 of us and snacks and everything is a $100 bill, I'm not opposed to it. Now, I'm also, for the right experience, I'm happy to go. But I think, the cram as many people into the theater in cheap seats experience is going to die. It already was dying. It was all moving towards kind of the premium, lounge seats or dinner and a movie type thing. So it's already evolving. I just think this is going to cause it to evolve faster.
And I think the audience too. It's like how many times have you want to really get into a movie and you got people next to you texting and stuff like that? It's like the theater experience has been about as archaically draconian as the air flying business. Going on a flight now.
I think I know there's a lot of people that want it to happen that way, but if we get that, we also have to realize that those budgets on those movies are going to drop dramatically. There's not going to be $250 million blockbusters anymore. It's going to be that budget's going to be cut in half. So all the cool things that we saw in Avengers and all those things are going to they're not going to be there.
Hey,
but all those things get cheaper each year too, and marketing gets cheaper. And they're not splitting profits with the theaters. There's a lot of things that go into this.
Hey, my cousin Ricky now has a chance to direct the Avengers now. So, the films, we're good to go. Let's go.
You mean not Ultra Maximus's old roommate? Shout out to Ultra. I see you, brother.
He really is the most famous guy on the channel, and we never talk about that shit.
I know. When he told me that, I went, what?
Yeah, for those who are unaware, can you tell people that story?
I don't want to tell Ultra's story. Yeah, definitely. I will give you a little bit.
If we just tell it once, we're stealing it from him. If we tell it every single time we're on air, I think it becomes a thing.
Yeah, I'll let him type it more or talk about it more on Drunken Chat one of these nights. But he was roommates with one of the Russo brothers back in Seattle, back when I guess he was going to school or something. And they didn't really have the greatest of relationship. Yeah.
Oh,
Joe and
shit.
Anthony, we'd still like you to be a guest.
Yeah, and we'll bring on Ultra too, just to make it fun.
Do you
Or not.
recognize this?
If that's a
That's
deal
a guest.
breaker, we'll deal with it.
Could have a mask on and they could try and guess who he is.
Yeah, yeah, he'll come with a fucking
Optimus Prime.
Optimus
mask.
Prime mask. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. We'll see what happens. But on top of other talk, let's talk about the DC talk, which is like this static is starting to seem, more and more like we're going to see some big screen stuff. Michael B. Jordan's in talks to
I think he
help produce what? What is it?
I think he's producing, is what I understood.
Correct.
I don't. He's too old to play Static. Static's a young
Yeah.
role. But Static's been talked about for the last, I don't know, decade on and off, and it's when it was SDCC that the creator kind of said the rights things are sorted out, and they were going to kind of get back to writing stories on it because it'd kind of been a mess for a while. So that kind of pushed it a little more. I just think this Michael B. Jordan thing is interesting because he has some kind of history of getting shit done. He's got the Raising Dion show. He's got some other projects that have actually went places. This feels like an option that has a chance to actually move versus an option that's just sitting in somebody's portfolio.
This is kind of like I guess when you can say like this is kind of like The Rock. He became an actor, then he became a producer. You know what I'm saying? Like he had a producing company, and kind of like now he has a big name. Now most of his projects, since a big name is next to it, usually gets moved. Besides, some.
Well, here's
company or something.
exactly what you're talking about, Deno. Like perfect timing that you talk about that, and Christopher Colbert drops this comment that he does already have a production company that I didn't know about that has been doing. Well, I haven't looked at his production company. He said this doesn't bode well. Maybe they're putting out shit movies, but DC wasn't involved in those movies, so
It doesn't. I mean, you know what? It is. It isn't.
Dude,
We'll see.
It's easy
Dion
to get
was a
options.
decent show. My kids enjoyed it. We watched it. I just think what the property is versus his name. His name has continued to grow since then too.
Well, and it's the marketing too. It's like it's easy to get somebody like if you have a production company that already has a famous superstar as a leader to I mean that's half the marketing's done. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look how many news outlets picked it up. It just says Michael B. Jordan on there.
Well,
Yeah.
so this is the part that I find interesting because Michael B. Jordan has expressed interest in playing Superman several times. If he's kind of taken over the Milestone brand, if that were to occur, I could see him do an Icon, which is their version of the Superman. That could kind of fit something he's expressed interest in, and somewhere to kind of be a part of the movie, but not be the whole thing. To be a player, but not be the star. So I could see that happening. And I mean, the guy's got chops. So
Do you think if Marvel called him and said, "Hey, we want you to come back as Killmonger," he would push all this stuff aside and go back to Marvel?
well, this is just a production, so he doesn't have to act
Well,
in it at all.
I'm saying that if you're saying like he could pick up actual roles.
I think you can do both, It may suffer. It definitely could suffer if he is tied up, but we don't know what the hell's going on, I think it's interesting. DC has seemed to went the path of taking their creative content and letting people tell individual stories versus weaving this massive tied together universe because they don't do well at that. But letting somebody take the Joker and do something with it, that's worked out well. Some of these other things may or may not, but they're letting people kind of take their own stab at things and be independent. And if they get the right person with the right product, it can be amazing. And my gut says that there's maybe a little bit of, he wants to make something of this because we always talk about them changing characters from, changing races, making characters that are the same character and just making it a new name in that suit. This was a universe created that, we're all original characters. So that's something different. and I like that. I think it's something that people could appreciate.
Was the series actually any good? I've never read any of it.
I remember reading it early on. I think it did well. Static ran to issue 45, so that's 4 years. Most of the others ran 2 to 3 years, so they did okay. They weren't like dead on arrival. I just think DC and Marvel at the time kind of just imploded, though.
Yeah, and Icon was oh Christ, I hate to use the fucking words so that we don't have people have a nervous fucking breakdown in the podcast. They'll do it twice in a row. Icon was like a traditionally conservative kind of hero, like tough on crime kind of take.
Wasn't he a lawyer in his like real world job or something like that?
I mean, dude, we're talking about this is stuff I read when I was a child. But I know that was it was kind of strange for a lot of people who sort of anticipated the exact opposite from the character. So I don't know. It could be interesting. And
it's an entirely DC. A lot of times refers to it as part of the multiverse as opposed to part of canon. I know Static has kind of made it into canon a few times, but this Dakotaverse is an entirely separate universe that can just work on its own, and DC doesn't really have to worry about it affecting anything else if they choose to.
Yeah, he was a. I'm just reading the Wikipedia. He was a corporate lawyer.
Okay.
So
see, I got a little bit left from all those years ago.
Yeah, it's hard to remember, man. There was so much stuff, and for me, a lot of brain damage.
I think it really wasn't bad stuff. I just think that's the time where comics were going nuts, and then they hit the implosion. I mean, there were so many universes, and pretty much Marvel and DC made it, but they cut their titles, and Image struggled. Everything else done. So,
yeah. Well, we're gonna, as soon as we get a chance here, Marco's gonna come on and talk. Here we go. Perfect timing. He's showing up right now. So,
hey, what's going on, boys? Actually, give me 1 second. I gotta get.
Take your time, brother. We'll bring you back in. Yeah. Right. I want to talk real quick before we talk about that I want to remind everybody, because I for some reason everybody kept saying Static Shock, and I'm thinking, why are they calling it Static Shock? I totally forgot about that animation that they did where it was called Static Shock, and it was this character. I totally forgot about that.
Well, all the later series were called Static Shock. The original was just Static for some reason. And I assume it was the rights shit got tied into it somewhere.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing about that I always enjoyed about the title of that is that like it had double entendre, right? Because the Milestone universe was kind of like this. It felt like this like gritty New York based universe. You know what I mean? The Milestone, and that word static has that different connotation, there. So I always liked the reason that the title was that. So I totally forgot about that damn animated series though. Like, how long did that run? That had to have because a lot of people remember that series.
Was it 93 to
I honestly never saw it. I don't remember it until I know it exists, but I don't remember seeing it ever.
Yeah.
All right. 2000 to 2000. It was 4 seasons.
Wow.
2004, I think. 4 seasons.
Is it on? I'm gonna have to check if it's on DC Universe and maybe catch it.
Yeah, it was ran for 4 seasons, 52 half-hour episodes. So.
All right. Well, we've got Marco here, and it sounds like the trailer did run. From what I'm seeing on a lot of the people kind of talking about it in the chat, that it didn't pan out. Did you see it, Marco? Obviously.
Yeah, I saw it a couple times. Rewinded. I tried to take some pictures, but that didn't. I think if people were trying to listen to some of the stuff that came up before, I think we talked about it on our. Couple times the last time we talked live, that don't be so disappointed if you didn't see some of your favorite characters that you think is going to come through, because they're probably going to have small cameos. I think that's what this trailer is kind of showing. Yeah. If you watch it when he's talking to I'm going to get into the trailer right now. So if you watch it when the Mandalorian's talking and saying, I need to find more Mandalorians. If you look in the desert scene, you see a little bit of the bones of the crate dragon. You got to assume he's back on Tatooine. The wife was even like, who do you think he's talking to? Didn't even tell the wife. But I think he's talking
Well,
about Cobb Vanth.
can you tell us how the breakdown is? Because I'm still looking for a decent link. I actually want to play it while we're talking about it. Is there a link out there of the actual trailer and not a?
I don't think it is because it just. I mean, they just came through with it, so it's probably not even close to being out.
No, probably not. It's going to take a minute.
All right, let me see if I can find something. But could you break it down for us how it started and what they showed?
So they obviously start with the X-wings telling the Razor Crest to don't go into whatever space they're going into this. So they're trying to pull them over. So you have to naturally assume, that the good guys are stopping him. Like he's going into a plant that he shouldn't be going into. He's probably trying to figure it out again. Yep, they show his boots, which actually I think his bullets are on the right side, not the left side there. So that might actually maybe not be him. We'd have to go back and rewatch it. Right there, you saw the Krayt Dragon. So that's the Dune C there, right? So we know
let me go back here.
Yep, he's going to be back on Tatooine.
Right. There's the Dune C. So yeah, is that means he's going back to Tatooine,
which means he's going to run to Cobb Vanth because that's right around the timeline where we saw Cobb Vanth. And for those that don't know, Cobb Vanth is in lore right now in current canon. He's the guy that has Boba Fett's armor on, and we think Timothy's going to be playing him. We're pretty sure that's going to happen. So now, right over the background, he's talking. When he shakes. If you could go back, let's just go back from the beginning.
So this is where he's doing repairs on his ship, obviously from end of last season or whatever they go through. We've already seen this.
X-wing shoot him down. So
okay, so we've already seen this little play out there. Somebody getting away. It looks like in some type of what is that? What is that vehicle again? There, Marco. Didn't they release that?
Transport.
Yeah, the troop transport. Yeah.
And then you see that guy. Yeah, that looks like the guy that they froze in carbonite. The first guy that he froze in carbonite went in the first season.
We've got more Gina Carano action shots and whatnot, and the child. It doesn't look like they really gave us much, did they?
So when you go back to the beginning, if you go back to the beginning of the trailer, they start off like once again the X-wings telling him to like land or don't go into where he's going, and then you'll see he's flying through, hits it, falls down. Who knows if they shot him or not? He probably avoided them. You see this right here. He's got the same type of gun. Now he's shaking the hand right here in the background. They're saying, I need help if I can find more Mandalorians to get him back to his people. Blah 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 blah. He's not actually talking to him. They're just doing the voiceover thing. And I think when you hear it, the question is, who's he talking to, right? And I think the answer is Cobb Vanth. So you're going to have one or two episodes where he ends up talking to the guy who's holding Boba Fett and dressed like Boba Fett's armor at this point. And this is where Cobb Vanth is. He's in the Dune Sea on Tatooine. So we know that's going to happen there. So we're going to see Timothy there. For people that want to see, I get it. People want to see Ahsoka, especially here because a lot of people are vested in that book. And people, they want to see Sabine too. Hey, look, I'm not saying we're not going to see him, but I think they're not going to be as predominant as people, we've been saying it for a while. I don't think it's going to be as predominant as people want this one. I think it's kind of just going to be a little bit, they're going to end up teasing them in the shows. And I think this trailer kind of shows that a little bit. There's only 8 episodes, right? And there's only so much you can do in those 8 episodes. Is the likelihood of them finding people that we actually know, like Cobb Vanth, going to be in there? Yep. So you got 1 or 2 episodes with that. That's pretty much there. When he says he's looking for other Mandalorians, who's more likely for him to find? Them roll out a Sabine Wren type character or somebody that we already know, Bo-Katan. They're going to have Bo-Katan in it. We know she's there. She's been casted. That's been confirmed. We know 100% that's going to happen. So is that who he's looking for? And if that's who he's looking for, because he already has a relationship with the Death Watch, you're going to have a flashback. Okay? Because you're going to have a flashback of when the Death Watch, which at that time, where the timing lays into place, there's a high possibility that it was the part of the Death Watch that was being commanded at that point would have been under the supervision of Bo-Katan. So we're pretty much sure that those 2 characters are going to be in there. How does that link back? Well, if you got Bo-Katan eventually, as we saw in season 7, can be friends with Ahsoka. I mean, they kind of do a little thing together. And obviously, the one who gives the Darksaber to Bo is Sabine Wren. This is the thing. You also have to have an episode where you're going to find out where Gideon gets the Darksaber, right? So that's going to be probably 1 or 2 episodes there. So we got 2 episodes of that. We got at least one with Cobb Vanth in the bubble fed armor. Yeah, in the Dune Sea. So we got that. We have them actually escaping. We have to have a flashback episode probably. So what are we up to? That's 6 episodes. So now you have 2 episodes where you're going to try. Oh, yeah, and you have to have the fight episode. So you're going to have 1 episode where hopefully you get to see a glimpse of Tana, because that's the only thing. So if you have one episode with it,
I think if people have, just to remind everybody, Marco is part of a great show on the Flipside channel called Tales from the Darkside, where they really do deep dives into Star Wars theory, Star Wars lore, Star Wars comic books, everything to do with Star Wars. And they're going to be really doing a deep dive on more of the Mando stuff. But I think everybody was really excited to see something here, and it sounds like they didn't give us much. But as you heard from Marco, like what they did give us, and what we have seen so far, it looks like we're going to get some of those characters, and there's a good chance that the end of the season, like we've all kind of said multiple shows, multiple times, we're going to get one picture of, or one couple scenes with Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. And remember, Rosario, I guess, just recently broke up with Cory Booker, so she has a lot more time. A lot more time. So but
and I think it's going to lead into, I mean, I do think you're going to lead into, I mean, this is still great news because I think it's going to lead into a second wave into the Tana fandom, because if you really do get the little double click of those lightsabers or in the background thing, then you can do either the buddy cop thing with Katana, with Bo, or you could actually have her and Sabine Wren go. I mean, it opens up so many possibilities. Then you get the live action and you get to see what you want. I mean, you get to see her in the new era. Remember, unless you go into the world in betweens, there's only so much time period left you can have with Ahsoka, right? So, like, I think our best bet here, and maybe, you know, I get it, fans want more and more all the time, but like, I think the best bet overall for everything, for the speculation game, and is that we drag this character out a little bit more. And how you do that is by putting in a little scene of her here, which would be great. And then we get her in the show, and then we flash back and figure out how to explain the world in between, because nobody's figured out. I mean, time traveling in Star Wars is something that's also new, and they, they haven't quite expanded into that. But I think, if you guys have got those, you know, if you went after Bo, if you went after a couple other things in there that have to deal with the Death Watch, like, I think you're in a good shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
good stuff, man.
Marco, what do you guys got going on over at Tales from the Darkside? Anything interesting, fun?
We obviously were kind of planning on this trailer here. We kind of felt it was coming on Monday Night Football. So we've got a all-star crew that's going to discuss that more, go over some of the stuff that we've done before. If you want, in the meantime, watch our old Mandalorian live cast, because that had a lot of this stuff in it. But realistically, I think we're having Jen come over from the women's comic book show. We're gonna have Solo Wookiee there again. We're gonna be a big cast of characters. Go through some of that stuff. Obviously, we'll go back and reference some of the Darth Maul stuff we did when we did the profile of Darth Maul, because some of the stuff in there is good. And we might even talk future stuff. Cool. That last episode we did with the clone, we interviewed Leaky Trooper, who is actually part of the 501st. And then at the back end, we talk about there's only one clone left that's alive in canon. We kind of tell you what book that guy's in, because not a lot of people know that. You know, we do a lot of just deep dives into the comics and such like that.
Very cool, man. Well, we appreciate you waiting and watching it so you could jump on and let us know, man. And you guys are doing a great job over there. So we're all looking forward to not only the next season of Mandalorian, but what you're doing over there with you and the crew are doing over there with Tales from the Darkside, man.
Thanks. Hey, Lopez, your package is in the mail, buddy. Just send it to me.
All right. Thank you, brother.
The rest of your show, all right?
All right, bro.
Yep.
Good stuff. Thank you.
All right. Well, interesting. I mean, shit. That's kind of a bummer. Everybody's really looking forward to that. And
I don't want it to be spoiled, you know?
Yeah.
I want it to give me some time. And to enjoy it. I don't want to be spoiled on the preview. That's what's the great thing about season 1. You didn't know what to expect.
Well, regardless of
and before we jump Star Wars, I just want to shout out Comic Book Invest. They just put up a hot 100 Star Wars back issues to look for. So If
Oh,
you
that's
find
incredible.
if you find a stack of Star Wars, this is where you got to go.
If you find the first 20, you hit the lottery. I'm like, it's brutal. Such a tough list. I'm like, oh.
I hate myself for selling. I had a whole fucking boxes of Star Wars I sold for cheap. I hate myself.
Yeah,
it's so hard to remember all of those miniseries, and man, they're just everywhere.
And you got to pull the books all the way out. You know what I mean? I'm so used to being able to just kind of like look at the top 2 inches of a comic and be like, whoop, whoop. Can't do that with Star Wars. Too complicated. I don't have like the spatial kind of or visual memory it takes. I don't have it. But I wish that Marco's podcast had dropped 12 episodes 9 months ago or whatever, however long it's been, when I was like, I'm going to buy a Star Wars comic book. And I could have just watched them, because I looked aimlessly for content, trying to like really
Figure it out.
Yeah. And now I watch and I'm like, oh shit.
I saw that 40 times.
Right. You know what I mean? And anyway, thank God for Comic Book Invest. Thank God for Ben and the Star Wars lists, and Marco and those guys for really creating like Star Wars for dummies for newbie Star Wars collectors like me. It's allowed me to pick up some really great books for nothing.
Yeah. Well, that's
not
another
Star Wars for dummies, because they get in depth, but they explain it for us idiots too.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I'm sure
it's a
Windows
great
for
show.
Dummies does too, but you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's accessible in a way that like
all I remember about Star Wars is Marvel saying Dark Horse stuff will never be used in canon ever, ever, ever. And
the fans said, "Yeah, we're not going to have that."
Hey, so whenever you guys think that some stupid CEO says something that actually means something, just because he says it doesn't mean it's going to actually be that case.
Yeah. Yep, you're right. But oh man, it's kind of a little bit of a letdown for me. I was hoping to see something. You never know.
You don't want to see it all. You want to be anticipating it. That's half.
You're gonna watch it anyway. But like the first episode could have like 30 minutes of or something in there, and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened?
I want to be surprised, man. I don't even want to see a trailer. I want to just show up.
Yeah, I'm with you.
What's next?
All right.
How about this? DC drops Midtown as a distributor.
This is big news.
So I mean, the whole thing was what? Right at COVID, Diamond shut down. DC wanted to distribute. They accepted kind of bids, and one was Luna, which was the Midtown name, and one was UCS or DCS, which was DCBS, basically as a distributor. And thanks to Drew at Wanted Comics for kind of giving us an insider view of this, but Midtown had the East Coast, and DCBS, which is located in Indiana, had the West Coast, which is odd to me, but that was as far west as they were, and the middle ground was kind of split. So in the last UCS, sorry, in the last 6 months, I guess 5-6 months, they've both been distributing for DC, and appears that as of now, DC has dropped Midtown. Now, as my view from a consumer, I kind of could have seen that coming, because Midtown has a whole lot more problems shipping and just complaints than I've ever heard from DCBS. So like the only complaint I've ever heard from them is they finally caught on to the variant game and don't price them dirt cheap like they used to. But you hear so few complaints of their shipping. You hear so few complaints about anything. It's like in my head, that was an easy win. If you're a comic buyer or a retailer, the concerns are now your shipping costs on the East Coast are going to be more because it's coming from Indiana instead of New York. If you're on that, the far East Coast, you've got to now make a new account. You may now have, some delays in your shipments because if you didn't make an account, you got to get through all that process, as well as potentially more things can go wrong from Indiana to New York than it could from New York to New York, So it can cause you as a buyer a little bit of confusion, but take it easy on your retailers, man. They weren't prepared for this. Just be understanding with them, man. It's not their fault. and they're going to deal with it as soon as possible and as quickly as possible. And it is what it is.
Chris had a comment. He said UCS $500 a month minimum. I thought I heard someone say somewhere there was is it $500 a week for some retailers, or am I wrong? Does anyone remember reading that in any of the group chats today?
No, I can't say I say it.
Find it.
So I guess the question is, Lunar is the winner. What do we sort of attribute that to?
I think they had they were a distributor. I mean, Midtown sent comics, but they were half-assed to begin with. DCBS is ultimately, they already were a distributor, kind of that couldn't distribute directly. They just stepped one step up the chain.
By show of hands, how many people ordered books from DCBS for some period of time?
I was one of the very first people to start ordering with them because
Stein's the only one that didn't.
Yeah, way back in the day.
I've never ordered new books from anybody.
Yeah, see,
I used to not only order new books, I would put my whole order in because I used to be a crazy DCBS buyer. That's all I spent my money on when I was younger for a period of time, was statues, trades, absolute editions, and it all came from DCBS in a big box every month right to my door. The only problem was that first month waiting. Man, that sucked because you couldn't go get your books. Anyway, sorry.
And the only reason they got it is because Nico forgot to send our application in.
Yeah, we were gonna have Paul do it all.
Yeah,
especially the overseas.
Yes.
That's a way old inside joke for a few of you. But I don't know. I think the biggest thing is probably as a collector, it won't affect you more than a week or two at most. But as if you're a shop, it may cause you some headaches.
Hey, does this mean we're gonna get Comic-Con numbers back?
Good luck with that.
Well, what about what's funny is DCBS, I guess, since Brian went away, but for most of us, you could get DCBS ratio variants for very cheap. Now all of a sudden all their variants are like, it's a 1 in 50 or
Well, that's unrelated. They just caught on to the game, man.
Yeah, but are they going to normalize the prices now again? Or are they going to? I don't know how's it all work on the DC. I mean, are they going to sell 1 in 50 for $300? Because they know that's what it's hit to. I don't know.
What was that?
So you know how DCBS used to buy ratio variants for like cheap back in it. Now they're expensive. What does that do with the DC relationship? I mean, are they going to sell ratio variants for?
Listen, I hate to say this, but I'm probably coming to this party late, but I really feel like there needs to be something with those ratio variants and how they're a little bit more information on them. It feels like I'm so lost with how all the ratio variants work and this and that with each different distributor and what are some of the things that we don't know about them and all that stuff. I think so. It's so convoluted and confusing right now.
Can we talk about the impact on small shops based upon Lunar's apparent $500 minimum in order to ship weekly?
I would love to get some more even like Drew, or maybe Jesse James, or some of these guys that are dealing with this on a weekly basis.
Is Jesse James doing new comics?
Jesse James had just started doing new comics through his network. So instead of
they're bigger guys. I'd love to get a small guy.
I would love to get anybody that is dealing with it, even the small guys, the bigger guys. I would love to hear from them.
Well, just contacted the owner of Ides, Greg Ide. He wants to come on the show. This may be a different format for him, but I bet he would be interested in it. And Greg Bartholomew, All-American. He's got a couple different shops. He's been on my show before. I think he'd happily jump on here and answer these kind of questions for us.
We'll definitely even talk to even the guys who like Lucas that are doing it online, like Bird City Comics. Some of those guys, like even how is it affecting? Will it affect them? who don't have necessarily a brick and mortar shop, right? So,
well, and I guess the next question is, how close are we getting to a scenario where publishers take out the distribution channel such that, okay, it's a minimum of $250 a month, and we'll ship books directly to you in your home.
yeah, why? Well, I guess that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to do that, right?
Or you just prepay it up front, I guess.
Well, Diamond was sort of setting that up with those accounts where you pre-order through your shop and then it just ships to your shop and then you got your books you want, where the shop wasn't even have to do your order. You were like that you were ordering your own stuff to the shop.
Well, there's a lot of brick and mortars that sustain their business by the small amount of money that they're able to make on new books. The margins are thin, and it's a tough business. I have nothing but the most sympathy for brick and mortar owners. I think they're the heart and soul of the industry, and this is it's just like one hit after the next for them. So,
my wife used to at some point think, maybe you should start a comic shop, and I went, honey, that's crazy. There's no money in doing that. I mean, unless you were very, very good at your job, it is a grinded out thing, man. So be nice to your shops and
Trust me, I mean, I did it with a non brick and mortar, and it was.
Yeah, but you weren't selling new books at margin. I mean, you were just
that's
selling.
What I'm saying too. Yeah,
you're reselling. That's different, man. Yeah. To be somebody that's dealing with pull list customers and shipment problems. Oh my god, I couldn't imagine.
Bullets customers don't pick their shit up, dude. I just go to my very, very small local comic shop and see these giant stacks, and me, I'm not really like a Wednesday Warrior kind of guy, and I just walk over to them every time I'm in there digging. I'm like, how long until you're gonna let me pillage the books over there that have been sitting there for a year and a half?
Yeah, let me
He's
buy
like,
those.
I picks. So and so is my friend from Montana, and he picks his books up once every 18 months or something. I'm just like, okay.
Great.
I mean, they're
a lot of
doing
dead inventory.
Dude, they're doing the Lord's work. I wouldn't do it, believe me. It'd be like clock's ticking, your books are getting sold.
I've heard a couple of these shops though that they actually they keep your credit card on file, and it's basically if they charge it. I mean, if you're doing a pull, they're charging it, and
that's
whether
the only
you
way
pick
to
them up
do
or
it.
not. And if you do a chargeback, then it's done. You're done. No.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's the only way you can do it. I mean, a lot of shops are that way. And unless you were old, if it's an old school shop and they've got a huge base, they're probably not. But anybody new school that's starting, that's just the way they've got to do business. Because I mean, you can't live on $1 a book margin or whatever it is on a good day and have half of your people not pick shit up.
In that situation that TJ just mentioned, you if you come in and you're short, you have a short box full, you got to buy the whole thing. If you want to cherry pick your own pull list at that point, get out of my shop. No.
Can you do that anyway? I mean, if you have a pull list.
No, I think he's just saying there's a guy that has a pull list that's a short box.
Yeah, that's how I read it. His backlog fills a whole short box. So if it were me and I were to come in and be like, well, I only want to buy some of them.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
No, they're buying them all.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a pull list, you have to buy those, right? You can't just say, I don't want this.
If you want to continue it, yeah. But I mean, there's guys. If
you're a chain, you're run by managers who tend to be friends or have sympathy for whomever. I mean, there's just a lot of moving parts there, and a lot of opportunities for problems.
All right. Can we do? Let's get off the news after this. We'll just do one more thing. Well, two quick things. The ASM 129 cover art. How about that shit?
Woo, Lordy.
Wasn't this thought to be MIA, unknown, gone? And somebody found out one of the artists sold it, kind of behind the scenes.
What did it go for?
It's up now, or it's coming in the next Comic Connect auction.
Unbelievable.
You don't want to talk more about that, huh, Nico?
Well, we're gonna have Vince Zerla, the owner and operator of Metropolis Comics, on the podcast here in just a matter of a few short days to discuss it in depth. So I don't want to provide incomplete or worse misinformation about it. But congratulations to Metropolis. What an exceptional find.
Well, there's only so many people on the channel that, like when that comes up, there's only so many people. I mean, I'm sure Vince and the boys, and especially all these other guys, I'm sure they're in their short name of Rolodexes, you know what I'm saying? They're like, hey, I got this thing, or they've known this for like years, and like, hey, it just comes a lot. It's crazy. I mean, these guys probably known it 2 weeks before, so.
Hey, and probably Z might have the best answer for this. How is OA even authenticated? Like, I mean, how do we know that is actually legit? I mean, like I'm sure that there is some OA that is basically is actually gone, but I mean, is it possible to forge that stuff?
I don't think it's impossible, but I think there's probably, from what I understand, there's was it on the format Marvel was using at the time? There's all the notes and the side things and all that. What does the line work match? Because I mean, I don't think it's simple to forge something like that. I mean, it's always possible.
It's I hate to say it, it's how much money you're going to put in to forge. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
well, if this thing sells for $500,000,
it's going to sell for $2
million.
But I mean, it's not like it's going to, you can't go to Kinko's and spend 99 cents. You know what I'm saying?
No, but I mean, hey, let me just tell you, even in the sports card market, I mean, the stuff that people can forge and get by with, and the stuff that you're like, there's no way that they can forge that, and they do, and you're just like, how is that even possible?
No,
I'm
Stein,
not expert enough to say that could happen, but I think there's a lot of due diligence that goes into these.
Yeah, I mean, Stein, I think your reservations are well placed, particularly in an era where 3D printers can legitimately make almost anything. I mean, computers are very, very, very sophisticated, and as we go on in time, this is just going to be a bigger and bigger problem. But my understanding is it's all about provenance, right? So sure, like the paper, the line work, all those things have to check out. But after the fact, you got to be able to trace the lineage back. And if you can't, then it's problematic.
Yeah, well, I mean, not even
necessarily. That's going to be a bitch, because I mean, half these people are buying from auction houses. I buy shit from there, and once it goes to you, and then you private sale, and then you do that. I don't know. The world of the internet makes that provenance way.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily even this particular cover, but I mean, even if you just go to, some random interior page of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 48 or something like that sells for $150 or something like that. I mean, how does anybody know that is actually real? I mean, I guess my question is wouldn't it make more sense if the publishers actually had some kind of like, like a what are those little things? The things that they press into like a notary, yeah, like a seal.
Well, they didn't think it was valuable at the time.
Well, but couldn't they still do that? I mean, I just wonder. I just trying to figure out how this stuff is actually authenticated.
You're saying do it like baseball card exchange and wrap. They do like a wrapping kind of thing.
Something. I mean, there's all kinds of OA out there that I would love to buy, but I don't know
what's worth it. It's so tough. But listen, okay.
Doesn't the auction house do that?
Yes,
they're going to authenticate it. But
I'm even talking about like if you try to buy something off eBay.
There's so much art being produced every day. Think of all the pages from each publisher, from each book, and most of it's junk art. Somebody's going to buy it for $50, but it's not going anywhere. You also have the fact that now so much of it's digital. It's almost an anomaly to find a piece that a penciler penciled, the original artist, and either he inked or the inker got the original page and inked it. At this point, more common is potentially an artist worked in pencil and did a page. He then scans it, sends it to his inker. The inker prints it out on his page, which is called blue line art because the blue won't show up in the final production. He prints it in blue, and then he inks it. That's becoming less and less common now, but 10 years ago, that was kind of where we were moving. Now, half the time, the artist does it on electronic, shoots the file over to inker, the inker does it on electronic, or maybe the inker prints it and actually does ink. Either is possible. I mean, there's basically 4 versions of original art now. And in the early 2000s, there's almost 2 pieces for every one. Usually there's the sketch, and then there's the blue line inks. So, I mean, there's just so many variables, it's impossible. This stuff here, the vintage stuff, was all done kind of in the bullpen. So there's only 1 piece. And I talked like way too fast and everybody got lost. So
that was perfect. I just laughed at TJ, who was like, call the Pawn Stars dude. He'll bring in an expert.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about do you want to get in Z into your fun, or do you want to save that? What do you want to do?
Why not show it off? We're in the topic.
Yeah. Hell yeah. We're in the topic of OA, and Z just pulled something out of his ass that is beautiful.
Lord of mercy.
Yeah, I bought a piece of OA. I don't always buy foreigns. I buy some original stuff. So Comic Link this is from Suicide Squad 6 from the New 52, and they had the entire 8 or 9 page series of the Harley Quinn origin, where she's, meeting the Joker the first time to kind of going through that story of her meetings. And like I said, I think it was 8 pages. It could have been 9. Don't swear at me. I was texting with Nico the night of, and I'm like, this stuff's at $100, man. I'm going to buy it. Now, this is Blue Line inks. I did some research, and from what I can tell, there are pencil versions of this. The original artist actually did it in pencil, and those copies are sold. I prefer the look of ink. I don't love the look of pencil art. So, yeah, you can argue that mine's less valuable. That's okay. If I were going to display it, I like the look of this better. I didn't pay that much, so I'm cool with it. But I actually had bid on the whole series, thinking I'm going to spend too much money on it, but I'd put bids in. I thought I could win, and all of a sudden I see it go, you've been outbid, you've been outbid, you've been outbid, you've been outbid. And it was going so fast. I just jumped to this one, which was the last page. It had hit me as the most interesting because it had the Joker, it had her pre-transformation, and it had a picture as Harley. So I went, this is the coolest page of the bunch, doubled my bid up, got it, and was thrilled to have it.
Good stuff. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's a great piece.
Christopher Colbert asked,
I paid way less than $500 for this.
Does this have a DC copyright stamp on the back of it, Z?
I don't know. Let's look.
That would be funny, right? Perfect timing.
It's about to have some bourbon on it.
Drinking bourbon tonight, gentlemen. I'm good. I'm actually dry, so before we go to whatever I'm doing next, I need to go get another
Sober
drink.
October. Look at Z.
No. I just ran out of booze. No, there is no DC copyright on the back.
Ah, bummer.
Though it does say Scott Hanna Blue Line. The original sales price was $175, just in case you were wondering. So it looks like somebody bought it from the artist. So
that's the other weird thing. Like, I've never bought pages from anybody but the artist.
I don't know why he's asking. Oh, well, I mean, there's a DC Vertigo up here, but I don't think there's any kind of copyright. I've never seen.
Because every time that loops back into Stein's authentication question, they were saying that DC has an OA stamp they usually put on the back of them.
I don't know. I don't. But again, there's pencil.
Because I mean, this was obviously this page was what from 2012.
11, 12. I mean, early New 52. Yeah, I don't know about the DC copyright stamp. When did that start? What about it? I don't travel on enough art that I pay it.
I think if you'll know it's not a photocopy if you take an eraser and you can remove any of the pencil that's there, then you'll know it's an original piece. Right?
If you can see that it's inked, I have a piece that I was convinced was fake, but the more and more I look at it, it has the texture that it's real. Now I can't verify that it's the true piece of art because it's on a weird piece of paper. It's not one of these, things, but it's a small publisher. It is what it is. But it's definitely something that was drawn, not copied, and not done whatever. Yeah, Chris, show me a piece of yours, and I'd love to know when that started because I don't know. I only dabble in small dollar art. I don't think I've paid more than $300 or $400, so I don't feel bad about anything I've bought.
Hey, and Chris, tag the Instagram account, and we can throw it up on Instagram.
Absolutely, I'd love to see what you got there.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the DC future stuff, I guess. This Wonder Woman and all this fun stuff.
All right, I'll be back in a minute.
You ready to do this, Nico? Ready to get in some of this?
Yeah, so these books already sort of disappeared from eBay. I haven't looked at them since the initial solicitation. I grabbed some copies from Midtown or my comic shop or whatever, but it's Wonder Woman Annual number 4. This is potentially, prospectively, the first appearance of the South American Wonder Woman who is receiving her own title for DC Future State's 2-month revamp, relaunch, whatever the hell you want to call it. I think it's an interesting book. I'm not usually into child spec, baby spec. I mean, the last time I was kind of interested in that was Baby Cable, but I was like 12. But this one I think is cool because it's got a backstory, and I'm not sure if they retconned it or they planned it, but either way, it's more interesting than the random child iteration of these characters. So I think it's cool. I think it's got potential, particularly if this iteration of Wonder Woman starts to get a foothold. Wonder Woman number 1 has a solicitation that will permit retailers to do retailer incentive covers, which means that book's going to be ordered into infinity. So you're really in a situation where, you're going to go pick up the retailer exclusive to try to get a limited print run, or you're going to go back and try to get, a Wonder Woman annual that presumably has a smaller print run.
Yeah. Let's. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Red X stuff?
Yeah, I like that one. I think this is a tough book to find before all of this happened. I won't run it for those who haven't watched the more adult version of Teen Titans Go. But this was a super popular character and a super popular arc from that cartoon. The character makes no appearances in DC continuity, but does appear in comics, at least kind of, sort of, and I won't spoil that for you either. In this book and on this cover, I think this is going to become the Red X book, much like Batman Adventures 12. It's one that when this thing first broke, I doubled down and bought a bunch of copies. I should have bought more. I don't know that any of this stuff is going to take off. I don't know that any of it's going to be well received by the fans. But if it does, if what I assume is going to happen happens, which is, they'll do this for 2 months and 1 or 2 characters are going to stick. Maybe 3 or 4 will get renewed, and then that'll get whittled down over the course of a year or a couple years. This is one that's a no-brainer for me. I think we'll see Red X in some iteration into the future, and if the character is as popular as I think the character is, then this is the book to grab.
And Z, you've talked about this character many times before, right?
Yeah, it's a little confusing because it's a cartoon universe, and it's ultimately Robin pretending to be a supervillain.
God damn it! You spoiled the surprise.
Yeah. But it's
Why
very
does it say the return of Red X?
Because he was in the cartoon. That's the worst part of it all. Do you know how long I looked? I was just like, is he in another comic? Is he in another comic? Is he in another comic? So. No, he's not. Which is ridiculous because I'm just like, are you sure? Are you sure? It's
funny because in the comics they make Robin's kind of a vague Robin. It's not distinctly one or the other. I mean, you could make assumptions, but they keep it real vague most of the time.
Yeah, because they had plans to probably have the storyline be,
Great job, Ultra. And now there are no surprises left for anyone.
There you go.
Well, so then the other question who's we hear that Batman's going to be a different character. Who's going to be the Batman?
Well, it looks like there's two, right?
Well, there's the Batman as the Dark Detective, but who's the real Batman?
Bruce Wayne. I'm joking. I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, okay. So I think what John's kind of alluding to is if
I was about to say, what the hell are you talking about, man?
So if you do Dick Grayson as Red X, which that can't happen. I thought Dick Grayson was going to be Batman.
Nightwing. Oh, Batman.
Wait, but Dick Grayson's Nightwing, and Nightwing's also on the solicitation. And then there's the blue-eyed Dark Detective, and so like it's a multiverse of madness, pun intended. I don't know that much of this stuff's gonna it'll be fun for a couple months. I don't think a lot of it's gonna stick, but I'll buy it, I'll read it. Who'd ever guessed that they could have got me to do this just to see if it's cool for the same reason.
Really connects, they'll keep it.
Yeah, do you remember when they did the X-Men? What was it, Alpha and Omega, like the future X-Men stories?
Yeah, Age of Apocalypse.
Age of Apocalypse, right? I think I loved that. I knew it wasn't going to stay, but it was great, and I read it, and
and Blink did stick though.
But Blink stuck. Great, well said. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not super duper excited about this. I wish that. I wasn't so tuned into comics that I wouldn't have to buy this crap in floppies, so I could actually just sort of consume it as a trade all at once and enjoy it. But
yeah, I got you, dude. No,
thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm caught a little bit. Shout out to Gary Nusser and his Comic Perspective show. Make sure you guys check that out.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Gary did a hell of a dissecting.
Yeah.
Hey, all I want to say is I get a lot of Instagram messages that Nico and Gary need to do their thing. People are slowly the Gary and Nico show. So
yes, they do. But during that episode where he was just breaking everything down, he's breaking down John Kent and Damian Wayne stuff that hopefully could happen again. But it sounds like this John Kent.
Well, I thought it was Connor Kent.
Yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? It's still so convoluted.
Connor's different than John. Connor's the clone. John's the
right. But they've reported it as both, right? So everybody, it's just I have no idea what the hell's going on in DC Future State at all. Which I think is probably by design. Yeah,
they got to have some type of surprise.
Which is why I'm doubling down on two characters, the Wonder Woman, because those books were $3-4 when I bought them.
They're still cheap.
Oh, are they? Okay. And the Red X, because you couldn't buy them, and whatever copies I was able to connive, I probably paid $10-12 bucks a piece. And even if that's a failed spec, that's a super cool one that actually has a fan base.
I have to dig through I've got 2 short boxes of Teen Titans Go stuff, so
I love it.
It's it's mostly runs and half completed shit and variant covers and whatever and Obscura, but I may have a few of them in there.
Very cool.
We'll see.
Do we want to get into the market report so we can?
Hey, Before we do that, I'm sorry. So our man Christopher Colbert, he hit us with it. So I'm gonna do this. Look at this. So basically, this
Can you
is
zoom that in at all? I can't see.
it's kind of faded. That's what I got. So it says copyright at 1994 DC. It's like this is a stamp. It says rights. I'm sorry, rights. I'm on a small screen too.
Rights reserved under no circumstances may this be reproduced without the permission of the copyright owner.
I don't think all art has that. I think it probably had it at a time.
This is actually cool. That's the front page. So
that looks like that's badass, dude. That's from the Batman, what do they call that storyline when John Valley was Batman or whatever, John Paul Valley was Batman, and
issue 507 page.
But
20.
I mean, now that it's all done digital, I don't know that DC ever touches it. DC
Great
gets a
point.
stamp, you know.
Yeah. Not for all artists, but for most.
I mean, the amount of art right now that is done on a single piece of paper is probably 1%. I mean, you got people like Greg Horn that a pen doesn't touch the paper.
And you also have artists that do their own inking. So when you do get a page from them, it's inked.
Yes, but that's uncommon as well.
Yes.
So I mean, I did a little research on this because I didn't want to buy Blue Line without having a value point. But pre-2000, I mean, purists were like, if it's not on the same page, it's not an inked and pencil, I don't want it. But as you move to like 2010, 2015, it's like it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So
Nico, this is a good talking point with Vincent from Metropolis. I'm sure. I mean, you would think either him or someone close to him knows. I mean, he's not buying this stuff and auctioning without knowing the process. I would assume, right? I mean, theoretically.
Of course.
yes.
Yeah.
Those auction houses don't want to put their reputation on the line either.
No, they don't. Something will sneak by on occasion, but it's very, very rare. So,
All right. Let's get into. Do we want to get into the market report, or do we want to?
Hey, can I say one last thing about John Kent? God, I hope for the love of God that they fix the character.
Send him back to 13.
I'm done. Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's get into some market report, and then we'll do some pickup fun.
all right.
All right. Before we go into the market report, though, I want to remind everybody to check out Comic Barricade, comicbarricade.com. Not only can you get 10% off, but you can get free shipping by using the code CBSI Tales. That's CBSI TALES to get 10% off and free shipping. Like these things. For that, that's a pretty good deal just to get 10% off, but then free shipping. And these things are really important. They've got some really cool larger sizes for slabs and magazines, and they have some card sizes coming out for card monster and storage boxes. So keep your eye on Comic Barricade. Again, use CBSI Tales for 10% off and free shipping. All right. Z, can you see the names? Because I basically named them all for you. So
I got
all
you.
right. You got it, man, then.
All right. So the first one, I didn't want to talk about Static One just because it's been selling all over the place. I did put some data for you. Standard cover 9/8 collector's cover, which is the orange cover, 88 9/8, platinum 26 9/8. The standard cover does have a newsstand, which is an intriguing play if you're going to do that. But I mean, the static ones have been selling between $75 and $100 for the past couple of days like crazy. I didn't track all the 9/8s and 9/6s, but it's selling very, very well.
Bro, somebody stole this.
No platinums have sold since the announcement, or no 9/8s because I have one up. So, but 45 is the last issue, been a very tough issue to find. It's got a Mobius cover, so that's kind of cool. But it's the end of the run, very, very low print run. There are only 10 9/8s. And this has been a book where you'd say, well, nobody was collecting it. But people have been chasing this last issue for a while. I know Ozzy said he had an early one up and he sold his for $250. I saw several raw sales up for $200, and this 9.6 went for $305. So that seems like a good get for a book that's real tough. I mean, I've never found
real good, dude.
I love last issues, but why is this one so much more than? Because there's some other, especially from the late '90s, early 2000s DC stuff. They're really hard to find, but they do not command anywhere close to.
It's all about Mobius.
Yeah,
so he does a late issue of hardware that commands a huge price tag too. Not the last issue of the series though. But it's like it's at the end and it's disproportionately high.
And
even 44 of this goes pretty high though, right? I mean,
the last 6 issues go for a lot, I think, because the print run is so small and they're good covers too.
Well, and Static, I think Static went a little longer than most of the rest of the Milestone run too.
Yes.
So,
what did hardware go to?
Don't. Late. Okay. It went late as well. I think it went into the 40s if my memory is correct. I want to say.
Yeah, I was thinking Icon went lower and Blood Syndicate and some of those were more in the 30 range.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I want to say 44 is the issue for hardware, and that it went longer than Static.
Went to 50.
Yeah. Okay, and I think 40. I think 44 is the Mobius issue, if my memory is correct. But you'll know when you see it. You'll be like, "Oh, that's the Mobius cover. I just hit the jackpot."
Yeah, and I talked about Icon earlier. Icon is the one that does not appear to have a platinum edition. Hardware does, and Static does. If you're playing Icon, I think it's the newsstand's your only option.
It's 49, Nico.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
About approximately 6,000 per issue for print run is what Chuck Hennessy is saying. So,
Chuck, tell me what the platinums were, man. That's what I want to know. I want to know the actual stats on those bad boys. All right, a little bit of nostalgia run here for us. G.I. Joe, this one befuddled me. I'm going to be honest. I looked at this book for years because I had my oldest kind of got into G.I. Joe when he was about 7 or 8 and read the shit out of that whole run. And I was like, I'll buy him a 98. I'm like, yeah, $300. It's been a $300 book forever. 2018, it was $298 average. 2019, it was $317. All of a sudden, the 90-day average has jumped to $771. In April, it jumped to $600, and it's been just kind of climbing since. This is the 5th sale for 1,000 or over in the last 2 weeks.
Well, a lot of things have been happening for G.I. Joe this year. They have the new movie reboot news, the Snake Eyes movie news. They have the new 6-inch figure line that just came out that everybody is talking about. That's a G.I. Joe collector because they're hard to find, which really was never the case with G.I. Joe figures in the last 10 years of the new stuff. So I think Hasbro has done really well in during the COVID thing to keep, in the news, and they did well with PulseCon, and the comic is getting a little bit more love because of, I think, some of the exclusives that have come out. So listen, anything nostalgia, no matter what, is getting higher and higher every day.
It was just a huge climb quick. So yeah. I don't know. It could hold. I mean, G.I. Joe they pay money for what they want, and maybe they just shifted interest to this particular item at some point.
Hey, I'm one of those people who thinks that there's a shot that G.I. Joe will have a comparable sort of revolution. Transformers will have sort of a comparable revolution in comics that Star Wars has enjoyed recently. I don't think that you need nearly as many collectors to cause those prices to go bananas because there's far fewer comics, right?
There's not as much material.
Just not as much material. But I think there's an opportunity there. I've been kind of pondering, like, what do I do next? Brian ruined this for me, no good bastard, by showing every single cover that mattered for every book that mattered on the Modern Playbook before I could go pillage the stores in my area. But if you're interested in every cool G.I. Joe comic book ever, Bryan has them, and he showed them all on like 2 weeks ago. Episode of the Modern Playbook, and it was awesome.
That was fun.
Another nostalgia hit for us, roughly 40-year-olds. Ghost Rider 1. This was a newsstand,
Bro.
So the 311 9/8, 11 are second prints, which has the Ghost Rider head logo. The traditional first print has Spider-Man, I believe. But this newsstand, which I mean, there's no data on, there's no sense of separation, so we don't know how rare it is. But the regular cover trends at $200 to $250. This went for almost $1,200. I don't want it at that price.
Yeah, but I get it though. I mean, it's a
Hey, the one I like, because I don't think that newsstand is rare, is the second print.
Agree. I would have preferred a second.
The second print with the Ghost Rider head on it. Now, I get the mystique around newsstand 9/8 because of what I like to call spinneret grab. You know what I mean? That like, let me see what's next. Let's see what's next. I get that, but man, I love that second print, and I still can't figure out how that second print was distributed. If it was a JCPenney's book or what, but if somebody knows, please share.
All right, so one more kind of nostalgia hit. This is, one of my favorites, of course. I didn't even pick this one out. Nico did, so I wouldn't have actually thought it.
Sure.
No, I know the buyer.
Oh, who bought it?
I can not say. They're not one of our insiders. They're one of my friends though. That's a collector. It was not Z, and it was not me.
I eyed it. I thought about it, but I'm trying to behave. What I found interesting, it didn't stand out to me because it wasn't a high number. He actually got a bit of a deal, I think. Crow 1 prices have soared. The 9/6s of number 1 have went from $700 to almost $2,500. This book has been flat. 2019, it was $1,400. Most of 2020, it's been floating in that $1,400 range. There was one weird sale back in 2019 for $2,200 because I was watching the spike. This at $1,526 is a 2-year-old price at this point. So
yeah, I looked. My buddy picked up a bunch of awesome books, and when I looked at the list, I thought he was just sending me like books people stole on eBay. And then he was like, "No, this is what I got," and I was just like, "Whoa, like, well done."
I truly was watching it and just kind of said, "Nah." I kind of regret it because, of course, who knows? I could have bid up. Your buddy could have bid up, and then nobody would have got it. So good for him. We'll hit a couple Golden Age now, just because, we'd like to hit a few.
Hey.
Top Notch 6. A tough freaking book. 13 in the census.
Damn.
Surprisingly, a 9.4 and a 9.2. And then after that, kind of a mix of crap.
Do you feel like that's kind of cheap?
Hard to say.
That's bananas, dude. What a great book.
The only recent sale, I think, was in 2019. Might have been 2020 early. Was an 8.5 for $2,160. Prior to that, it's been almost 4 years since any sale. So I can't even trend the data at that point. But 7.5 versus 8.5, that feels like a good get if you're looking for this book. And they just don't come up. I mean, there's 13 of them, for love of God. 13. Think about that.
13 total
in the census. 13.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like they probably got a little bit of a deal on that. Maybe?
I don't think they overpaid.
Yeah.
So one more Golden Age for us. Just again, this is a Nico find. I didn't notice it, but Witchcraft 5.
I love that book.
Witchcraft Witchcraft 2 gets most of the attention, the big skull yellow cover, but the whole run's got some fun ones. This is that redhead is real cartoony, and it's kind of a cool cover. It is
It's as good as Good Girl
Yeah,
art
it's an
gets
awesome
for me.
cover.
The
Yeah.
font too makes it even 1,000 times better. The font on the title is great.
Yeah, I don't have one. I shouldn't be running my jib about it, but it's it's a good one.
This is not as rare. There's 65 on the census. There's actually 394s, but most of them are mid grade. 5.0 is the most common grade. It doesn't come to market often, though, like ridiculously rare to market. Last GPA I could track anything recent was in mid 2019. There was a restored 4.5 that sold for $500.
There's me running my jib again.
Prior to that was 2017, was a 5.0 for 473. So I mean, and then you jump back 2 or 3 years for the prior sale. Like, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think that it looks like the A15 cover homage, right? Isn't that what the A15? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh. Yeah, I got you.
And I think that just sent the book into the stratosphere. Plus, I like there's these like con vendors. I don't know who they are, but they always just like snatch random pieces of like art from the Golden Age and just like solid pop culture pieces of artwork. And I love it when they do that because I go and I think those books become kind of like emblazoned in collectors' minds. I think they've got a T-shirt of this book too. It may be the A15 cover, it may be this one, I don't know, but it's so awesome.
It's such a cartoony Good Girl, but not cartoony. It makes me think. I don't know.
Right?
It's got an interesting vibe. Sorry, I got my list out of Brian's order, so give me a second. This is a rare victory dance for me, honestly.
I have this book too. I have a couple of these. This was one of the very first spec books I ever spec'd on back. Sorry, let's talk. I'm going to say what it is, Z. Blue Beetle #1 from 1967, the first appearance of the Question. This is the first book that I ever really spec'd on to spec on back when New 52, not New 52, but 52 started. And they were talking about how the Question was going to be such a big part of it before we knew it was Renee Montoya. I went and found a couple of these in high grade because of that. Yeah.
Smart.
So I always played kind of the fucking margins of spec, but I had got into it for a different reason because I got obsessed with the Watchmen and how they had used the Charlton universe as kind of the map. So I had went out and collected a lot of copies of all the characters.
I remember you pissed me off because you found a bunch of the early Captain Atom stuff, and I'm a huge Captain Atom fan.
Yeah, if you really search the archives of Comic Book Invest, you'll see an article I did on it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so
nice.
Nobody's read it.
One of the 3 he's done in 5 years.
Ouch. No
Yeah,
one burns.
3. I'm not passionate very often, but I was passionate about the Watchmen and the universe created from Charlton. But I had a few, and I had scored one from my local shop. I don't know how. I don't know why. It got pressed. It was a 9.4.
Nice.
And I'm going to read the numbers for you. Only 3 sales since 2014. This one for 10.26.
Gonna get ugly. Watch.
2016, there was. It says 2. I don't know if I buy it. The data looks weird. For $717, and in 2014,
here it comes.
$18.99. That was mine.
Boom.
I sold it for $18.99.
Good job.
Yes. This book has become way more populated in the census. When I had gotten it back in 13, there was only a handful in census because this book was kind of like nobody knew where it was. Dealers didn't even bring Charlton to the fucking shows. Like,
nope.
You'd ask, do you have any Charlton? No. Why would I? So this is one of those books that I think had to like cycle because nobody would bring it. It just sat in boxes. So even if you're looking for it, it wasn't to be found. Comic shops had it in the back room in the dungeon because why would anybody want it? So I happened to find one out for sale early and was able to take advantage of it and sell it at a really nice price. An 8.0, just for reference, goes for only $120 right now. So it really is the high grades. There's 7 9/8. I think when I got mine, there was 1. So this is one of those books that was rare due to circumstance than as much as rare. Now it is tough and high grade because Charlton's paper quality was crap.
Oh,
So finding a really, really nice one is tough. You also have to watch out because they had the modern reprints in the 70s where you'll not see that corner box logo and you'll see a Circle Modern. Don't fall
Circle
for that.
M. Circle
Yeah.
M.
Yes. So just be aware. Be a smart buyer if you're into that. Oh, this is a book that causes me heartbreak. I don't like to talk about it, but Nico put it in here. It was one of the few books I've sold and just continue to lose on.
I'm sorry, buddy.
And I talked about it with Nico the other night. At one point, I said I should just spend $10,000 on a 9.8. At the time, that was the price. A 9.8 right now goes for $19,200, and that was not 2 years ago that I said that. It was maybe a year and a half. I bought another book for about that price instead, and it has not kept up with this inflation. There are 194 9.8s in the census, 399 6s. A 9.6 in 2018 was about 4,800. 2019 average was 64.75. It's now 7,500. So it is still gaining pretty steadily.
It's unbelievable.
I keep thinking, I don't want to buy in this price. And I keep going, well, I should have bought in at that price. I got nothing. Buy it, sell it. Whatever you do is probably wrong. So I don't know. I don't even know why it's here because I don't have anything smart to say about it.
It's nice to see, though.
It's a pretty ass book.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was more of a demonstration of how much people are paying week in and week out for major keys on eBay. No questions asked. Sold $7,500 out the door.
What does X-Men 1 go for in like a 7 or 7.0 range?
A shit ton.
Yeah.
Shit ton.
You remember there was a point where this book was wanted more than X-Men 1 about 10 years ago? 20 years ago, 15 years ago?
I don't even think it was that long ago.
No?
I wanted this more than X-Men 1 10 years ago.
I wanted X-Men 1 more than this, and I settled for this because I couldn't afford an X-Men 1.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I hear a lot of different sentiments. Some collectors really are like, this is my X-Men, Claremont, my stuff. I just bought a book. I'll hopefully have it here soon, but from Claremont's run because that's my X-Men. But I'm like McClay. If I get my hands on a nice presentable copy of X-Men 1, you'd watch me throw my giant size X-Men at the first person that would pay kind of market for it. But I don't know that I'm necessarily, or that we're necessarily a majority opinion. And this is different than like, I want Spider-Gwen more than I want the first appearance of Gwen Stacy. I mean, it's a completely different analysis.
No, because look at the X-Men run from 1 until this. These are the only 2 candidates. It's not like Spider-Man where there's a key. There's keys, but 1 to this, it's 1A and 1B. That's it. I sold this book. I thought I'll buy in next year, and 6 years later, I keep going, fuck, I'm not going to pay that price.
Well, the interesting part is it doesn't appear that we're close to a X-Men film universe. I mean, Fantastic Four is reportedly going to come first. It looks like the X-Men are out into phase 5. Maybe
I don't think it has shit to do with movies. I think
it doesn't at all.
Book.
Right, and I like. I think 90s nostalgia for X-Men is at its peak. Right.
Oh fuck yeah, it is.
I like how Doc Joe says, every one I find looks like garbage. How many have you found? At least you found one. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's one of the handful of books I wish I would have just fucking kept. I traded it for a book I really want, and I've sold that book since because I wanted something else more, and fuck me, I shouldn't have.
If it makes you feel better, Z, I passed on what was, I think, a 9.6 for about $5,000 raw. It had a shot at a 9.8. It was damn near perfect, and I had that much cash in my pocket. And my buddy was just like, "Nope, walk away. No, walk away." And I was just like, "Fine." Went off and bought trash. You know what I mean?
He was like, "Come over here and buy this Hulk Hogan belt."
Yeah, trash.
Yeah, well, dude, he probably.
Hey, you don't hate on the hotness of the Hulk Hogan belt.
Yeah, he probably saved me because he's got a better eye than anybody I know. But I get it. I mean, it's just one of those books that's near and dear to everybody's heart who grew up, a fan of Wolverine, a fan of the X-Men, watching the cartoons. Yeah.
The cartoons, I feel like, is the largest majority of like X-Men fans right now, right? I mean, that cartoon is so
ingrained.
Yeah, it's why I like the X-Men cartoon #1s. Like, I'm not buying the Jim Lee X-Men ones. People are like, "Get the newsstand." I'm like, eh. But the X-Men cartoon comic #1s, I'm all about.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so here's another one. This is the Book of the Bronze Age.
Interesting.
That I like the most as a play. And since nobody listens to me anyways, I don't worry about that. But this book I like.
This is the other one my buddy bought.
Dude, this is...
Was it because of the black fur?
Yes. Yeah, the black fur.
Well, what's funny is I remember when this came out and Netflix said the Luke Cage and it just dropped. It was like nothing. Like everybody's like, "Oh, these are going to go insane," and nothing.
Yeah.
So at some point, I'll show you some pickups I have coming in that'll be my usual bizarreness. But I like this book. I think it has potential. As far as Bronze Age book, it is lacking versus some of the others as far as just heat and progress. I mean, yeah, he's a dead character. The rights did finally get back to the MCU, but who knows when they'll use him. I just think if you look at the Bronze Age, he's undervalued a tad.
Such a tough book in any decent kind of shape. I mean, my goodness.
I could get on that train with you, Z, because I think a lot of people see books like this and, basically the other series that hit hard on Netflix and then we're done. And they're like, they'll never do that again. So yeah. I think that's one of the reasons they're like, why would I buy that now for that price?
I don't think it's too far off from the other Bronze Age keys as far as census. 3,000 of the census, which is low compared to the others, but 9/8s, there's only 14. 9/6s, there's 50. Yada, yada, yada. There's 215 9/0s. I think 9.2 9/0s, the price point I'd try and buy in, unless you really want to go ballsy and go 9.8, because fucking always go 9.8 if you are really that well off and could. But 9.2 9.0 feels like a good buy-in point. The 2018 average was 9.30, so note we're still under that. The 2019 average was 8.60. 2020, it's been anywhere from 8.75 to 9.18, which this is the high. So it is finally recovering some value after Netflix. A 9.2 for reference is 1,400, and an 8.5 is 540. I think an 8.5 is not the price point to buy in. I think it's this 9.92 is where the action is. So don't bid against me, assholes.
CPR. Crack, press, reslap.
Yeah. Another kind of vintage hero with some heat on him. This, on the other hand, for the Captain America 117 in a 8.0. No, 9.0. Sorry, 9.0.
9.0.
Can't see very well in my old age. This is the all-time high. You could have bought it this year, though, for $600 in the early part. It's been hovering at 750, and now all of a sudden has been climbing the last month or two. So would have been a great buy in March. Wouldn't they all? This is a book we didn't talk about the news because it wasn't really news, but it's kind of news. Was Hobgoblin. There were some pictures of the Ned Leeds actor. Let me scan his name. I had it. Jacob Batalon, who has kind of trimmed down and looks a little more healthy for his role. So there's a lot of speculation and talk or chatter that maybe he could then play the Hobgoblin and do that storyline. I think it's a stretch because there's a whole lot going on in this movie. Now, could they do a future alternate universe hint at him? Who knows? Maybe. I mean, the system's wide open. I don't think he could be the main villain.
Yeah, I mean, I think the theory is they're still going to do Sinister Six. They're going to do a multiverse. They're going to pull villains out of the multiverse, and they're going to pull heroes out of the multiverse to battle the Sinister Six of the multiverse. I don't know if any of that shit's true or if it's just more like fan fiction masquerading as news. But it was interesting, and it's such a cool book.
This book has been near $1,000 for the last couple of years, on and off. You know, it's between 8 and 9, maybe 1,000. It's been hovering. The high was actually 1850 in mid-September, but at 1675, it's not dropping off a lot. I think that's going to be the new norm. Is this $1,700 price point for now? It is a cool book. I mean, again, prime nostalgia age for us because this was our villain. The Hobgoblin was the one I remember being like, whoa. Unless you're a little younger like Nico, then it's, Carnage or Venom. But I remember owning this issue. I remember reading it and remember thinking, holy shit, that's awesome. And why not? You got Spawnverse coming. We'd cover a little Spawn. Why not, right?
Oh, I'm glad we're talking about this.
Which one? There's so many.
I do look forward to the Spawnverse interview, or Spawn World. Sorry, not Spawnverse. Sorry, Spider-Man on the brain. 9.8, the black and white edition. All-time high on this book is 1610.
You're welcome.
This is you what?
That might have
Nice
been
work. There are 147 9.8s, just for reference sake. It is a fairly tough book. It's not a true number one variant. It came out several years later. 5 years later is the 5th year anniversary. Is that what it is? Or less?
Yes.
Just for reference, a 9.6 is going to run you about $650. This book is just iconic at this point. Everybody wants it. It was one of those books everybody wanted at the time. So,
and I guess I had one of these books. Obviously, I bought mine raw, and you can imagine the anxiety I have between a 9.6 and a 9.8. And I think I paid $350 for mine. So, getting it graded and stuff. If you got a 9.6 coming back, you were making a little bit, but not 9.8 worthy. So,
yeah, 9.8 is the jam.
Let me ask you this: did you put up the other Spawn books that sold?
Yes,
I have 2 more.
Oh boy, yeah, it was like a Spawn weekend. Holy Christ!
They come in waves because we cover them every 2 or 3 weeks. There's a wave of them. I don't know if it's just a seller or what. So we got the Spawn 1 9.8 newsstand. So this confuses me because we talk about how CGC doesn't always notate newsstand versus not. But if you look at the GPA, they actually break out Spawn newsstand as a separate seller. And you don't see that on most books. So there's no rhyme or reason to anything anymore. I have no fucking explanation. But it does track back to 2018 at least. It was a 595 book in 2019, 605, so pretty steady for those 2 years. All-time, this is an all-time high at this 1050 with a Todd signature. The low of 2020, which at this point, this is what I enjoy, is that this year's been such a fucking spread. You could have bought one for $483 with a Todd signature.
Jeez.
In 1 year. This whole 2020 is the oddest year of, we had the highs in January, the lows in March, and then back up with a vengeance. And then shit, last one. Here we go. The infamous Spawn error. The ink error. I have no idea on a census because they're all qualified labels, so they get mixed in with the signatures that are not verified and all that shit. There's not a ton. That's the only answer I can give you. January 2020 seems to be the high at 1,500. In 2019, there was a loan sale for 1,000. So you kind of got it right in the middle. It's holding, in my opinion. I do like this book. I wish we had a little better data on how many there were.
Can I ask you guys now the question, which is why I'm super happy you put all 3 books up? Which one do you like best?
I'm a black and white guy because it's hard. You Spawn one newsstand and black inks and all that crap, but black and white's where it's at for me.
I would put the signature series at the bottom. I don't like signature series books, so
I'd do the signature series with a better Todd signature.
So I have a 9.6 signature series newsstand, and the signature is great. I thought it was a lock for 9.8. I don't know how I didn't get it, but it was nice to see a 9.8 sell for a lot.
I don't love any of these as the most. I want my Air Malibu 13 back, but I like the black and white after that. It's less common than the other two.
I think Wonder World Comics says it great that Spawn is the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie of the modern era.
It's a great analogy.
Yeah,
nice.
It is.
I can't argue.
Real quick, since you're talking about Spawn, did you already talk about this one, Z?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I just want to say I talked about this on a show the other week, and I want to shout out Nico for talking about this, and he talked about it on this show. So this is the Splitting Image #1 newsstand that, because of Nico, I started searching out. So I finally found one, brother. So do you think this book is really that hard to find?
It's a pain in the ass for me to find.
It was a pain in the ass for me to find, and I finally found 2. But I just think I think people don't know much about them, but I like them. I'm the guy that tries to collect all the Spawn stuff because Spawn is exactly that. Like Spawn, when I was 13, I remember like hanging the Spawn 1 through 20 on people's your old friends that read them would hang them on their wall, and it was like one of the first books that I just remember people who weren't into comics going crazy for. So
yeah, and it's a giddy up, fill your boots kind of book, right? Like I think it captures kind of the commercialism of Spawn and the money grab around it, and it's kind of like self-referentially ironic with the spasm and the cash. Nobody's paying more than $1 for them, right? Like you pulled yours out of dollar bins.
Yeah.
If you watch this show, you're a dollar bin hunter. That's who we are. It's like when I go to my local comic cons and I'm like, it's like the 50 best pickers in a 250-mile radius get together to kind of prey on one another. We're all like that, I think almost universally. So it's one that, just makes sense to grab until they're gone.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. It's interesting. I like this book. So, anyways.
Yeah. And remember, it probably took me longer to figure it out than it took me to find it once I figured it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Before we get into pickups, I want to remind everybody to go check out comicbookinvest.com. It is the wizard of today. Great articles, great stuff over there. Stein's got the hot 10 list over there. We do every Friday, which is a lot of fun. And I also, real quick, that something caught my eye. I want to say the Solo Wookiee did talk about the Peach Momoko signing exclusive to Marvel, which I think is that just covers that she's doing over there?
That's my understanding.
But either way, that's not the thing that surprised me, because I think a lot of us already heard this. But what surprised me was this comment. Because I have been noticing that Momoko books have been like not the big ones that everybody wants, like the couple, but everything else seems like it isn't really selling that much. And the Dennis Hayes, this comment kind of made me go, well, maybe I'm thinking correctly. Is it getting to that point where we're getting tired of her?
Well, when she puts out 4 covers a week, it's kind of the less one, the lower ones are just gonna not sell. There's too many. There's way too many.
Yep, and it's a bummer. I hate to see that for anything in the comic world, because that brings excitement. But yeah, all right. Let's get into some pickups. And Stein's got probably some fun stories that he can lead us off with. Do you want to get into your?
Oh yeah, I can.
Yeah. All right. All right. Here we go.
I'll let's sit here for all night or whatever. So I am in Chicago. This is a funny story. So I went to this place that was way out in the middle of nowhere in like this downtown, and I swear I thought that it is possible I might not come out alive out of this place. But I walk in, and this old dude is like, he just kind of looks at me, and he's like, "Hey." I'm like, "Hey, just looking at your comics." And I kind of look over to the left, and he's got 300 long boxes stacked 5 high on top of each other. No shelving.
Wow.
Nothing. And then on top of the 5th long box, he has probably 150 loose comics stacked all the way, like straight up in the air.
Oh my God.
This
and I'm
is
looking
in
at
Chicago?
No, this is like probably 60 miles west of Chicago.
That's awesome.
So I'm just like, well, okay. So I kind of walk around to like his new comics or whatever, and he's got like one of the old magazine racks from like the 80s or something like that. And he's got all these kids' books, and they're all leaning forward, and they're just trashed with water damage. And I'm looking at it going, and I look up, and the whole ceiling was like collapsed and stuff. And
Jesus. And
I'm like, what is going on here? And so I was kind of walked around, and he's like, oh yeah, this is, kind of this. I'd been here for like forever, but we just had a little accident or whatever. I was like, well, can I even look through these back long boxes at all? I'm thinking, good Lord, he's been here forever, and there's no chance that anybody's looked at these bottom boxes in decades.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, yeah, just tell me which ones you want to look at. So the one, like the back wall, they were like against the wall and went all the way to the ends, so they were just crammed against the wall. But in between, there was an aisle that he like concocted, but all the boxes were like this.
Oh no.
This is amazing already.
Oh, yeah. So I just kind of scanned. He's got everything labeled. He's got them like all in perfect alphabetical order. And I see a box and it says Elephant Man. Well, so I'm always looking for these stupid variants of these Elephant Men. I'm thinking, man, this is going to be it. This is it.
Please tell me.
This is going to be it. So I said, so it was the second box down on this 5 high stack. And I said, can I look at that Elephant Man box? He was like, yeah. So he kind of looks, and I didn't realize that there was shipping boxes stacked on top of these besides books that just went way up in the air. And so I just kind of backed away, and he takes the shipping boxes off, and I kind of turn and look, and the boxes start to go.
Oh no.
12 of these boxes go. Books fly everywhere. And I'm just standing there going,
mercy.
I'm like, oh gosh. She goes, oh man, it happened again.
Oh, no.
I was like,
God.
Sounds
oh
like
my
he
gosh.
needs some comic barricades.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh! So
Yeah,
I was
different
like,
kind,
well,
like a concrete
I was like, well,
wall.
let me help you try and pick these things up. He's like, okay, well, we got to figure out how to wedge these boxes to make. And I'm going, oh my gosh, this is like freaking insane. So we finally get all the things, and he was like, well, don't you want to look in that Elephant Man box? I take the lid off. There was one Elephant Man comic in that box. One. So I felt horrible, and he was like, I'm going to say something. This might offend you, but you don't have to buy anything because all those boxes fell down. It's my fault. He was like, so don't feel like you have to buy anything. I was like, okay. So I just kind of walked around, and I saw Star Wars Dark Horse, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to look through this too. So I was like, well, do you have any Vampirella or Star Wars? And he was like, yeah. I was like, well, okay, we're not taking these boxes down. I was like, pull the lid off this first one, and that's it. And there was one, it happened to be on the top row, and there happened to be a Vampirella box that was on the top row. I was like, these are the only two boxes I'm looking through. I'm not doing this again. So I looked through one box of Star Wars, and I did find a couple. See if I can find those. So I did get me a Phantom Menace.
Nice.
Oh, good.
That was in there, and I did get the Dawn of the Jedi variant.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, and he was like, "Oh, those would just be $4." I was like, "Okay." And then the Vampirella box.
Time out.
All I got was
After
two.
you found those,
I just got two of the Mayhews.
Oh, those are. I love those covers.
Yeah, so I
Can
got
we
two.
just
of those.
rewind to after you found those two Star Wars books?
Yes.
You still didn't want to dig more?
Oh, it's not a fact of wanting to. And I told him, I was like, man, I would love to go. But there was, the books, I kid you not, the ones on the wall, the stacks had to have been 250 books high on top of the
You got to get Jen, okay, to take a day off work while you're in Chicago. You go over there. She's a hard ass. She's an MMA trained, like jujitsu badass. She can, between the two of you, you guys can navigate.
She's a ninja, dude.
Yeah, these walls of books. I'm telling you,
it was.
Take it all.
Wait, you didn't want to nominate me, Nico, after I helped you move 400 long boxes in the basement?
Jen's in Chicago.
So honestly, this is by far the smartest thing Nico's ever said. She will murder. She'll murder that whole comic book. Like you and her will have the spoils of war.
Yeah, all I want is to host the subsequent podcast where you guys show your
crazy.
treasure.
But okay, so so I've hit a couple other way out in the middle of random places. So these are the books that I picked up this week here. Besides those, I got this cool Bone 38 that's an Alex Ross cover.
Oh wow, I didn't even know about that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so Bone 38. Yeah, so this other store that I went to, again, way out in the middle of nowhere. This guy, I dug through all his books, and then I handed to him, and they all had prices on them. And he goes, I need to look those up.
Oh, the worst.
Yeah. So I was a little pissed because he had the Boys 24, both the color and the black and white of the Animal House ones. They're both $4. He changed those. He had a Captain America Tron variant for $10. He changed that. And he had the Batman Beyond annual, the Batman, what was Batman Superman annual 4 with the Batman Beyond that had $4 on it, and he changed that too. So I didn't get to buy those, but I did from that guy. I was able to get. Where is it? Hold on.
Oh, dude, I hope you punished him for being a prick.
So I did get, and Paul will like this. I did get the Turtles.
Nice.
The 5, the hard one.
He couldn't figure out the dot color. Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
he did the right thing.
He didn't know that one. He didn't know this one. He couldn't look this one up because there were no sales. But it's the Batman 21 combo pack.
Oh yeah,
that's such a great book.
He had
Stein,
no
this is one of many reasons why I love you, because you're like, oh, you want to look shit up? Fine, I'll buy shit you can't look up.
Yeah,
right.
Same method, bro. Killed it.
He couldn't find this one. There was no for sale. This is the Boys number 18. It's a con variant.
Oh, get the fuck out of here! You found the ECC one, or is that the Toronto one?
I don't know. But it's got the tower in the back. But yeah, so he had no
What
idea.
color? You said it's ECC, Brian?
Well, I thought so.
Yeah,
there's
one's
a
color
photo.
and one's black and white.
Yeah.
And they're fucking ghosts. Like,
Yeah.
good luck.
So he had $4 on that one. He was like, "Oh, well, I guess I'll have to sell that to you for $4." I was like, yep,
Well done.
Okay. So those are the only books that I got from that guy. I found this today for $2 at Half Price Books. The Poe Dameron.
Yeah.
This is
Not
still a thing. Like, I remember when this came out, it was really hard to find. It's still a thing.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. So I got that. I picked this up, the We Live variant today. I got a Green Lantern 25 at Half Price Books, which is super. I got a Vision 1 for $2.
Well done.
Darth Vader 14.
Love that cover.
For cover price. Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur 32 second print for
That's a
Oh,
pain
that-
in the ass.
Oh,
for
that's
$1.
Well
Alias
done, man.
Alias 24 for $1.
I love that.
And then I got 2 copies of Unstoppable Wasp #1 second print for
Bang, bang.
for $1. So
Killed it, bro.
yeah, so that's what I picked up here in Chicago. But I thought my story about the collapsing books was about priceless.
Let me know if you're coming to my town so I can do a lap before you get here.
Right.
Hey, so whenever people tell me, "Oh, Chicago is like the center of," there are speculators everywhere here, and graham crackers is all over the place. So everybody's buying everything here. I haven't gone hardly any places, and I found all this stuff. So you can find crap.
There's always books for deals, dude. I love it. Good shit, Ben. Well done.
Z.
All right. I got a couple. I did the art was my big one. I picked up a Crow 4 online purely because somebody listed it for $15 shipped. I'm like, well, that's a travesty. I'm going to buy it. I'll put it with my others and build another set at some point. This is the one you're going to make fun of me on, so it's okay. I accept it. It's cool.
Oh gosh, is it a supernatural book?
No, worse.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, yeah.
Ultraverse. This is the one of the toughest freaking Ultraverse books to find. It is Prime 1, the Sega CD variant.
That's dope, dude. Wow.
For those of you who don't know, it had a Sega CD game. I have never seen the original printing of the game come up for sale. It was redone as a 2-pack with Microcosm. And I've seen plenty of those, and I've bought a few thinking, well, maybe the comic's in there. It's not. It's only in the originally produced single game. I have been looking this. I can't remember if it was Matty DeVoe or Sleepy John that told me about it, but both of them talked about it, and I have never seen one for sale. This guy popped up at like 3 a.m. one night, and I happened not be sleeping, and I just said, fuck it, buy it.
Z, you said we were going to make fun of you for this, bro. This is awesome. Video game variants like that nobody knows about, that or very few people know about. I love shit like that, man. That's awesome.
It's the only 9.8.
Well, now you've got to get the game in a graded box.
Yeah.
I've never seen the game come up solo. Never. I watched for years. I stopped. I took it off my search and just happened to see that pop. I think I have all the rare primes except one. There's the holofoil, but there's a holofoil gold. I've missed a few on that bitch, but I will get it because there's supposed to be about 200 of those. This may be rarer, and definitely a 9.8. It's going to be fucking tough.
Well done.
In a video game box, fuck you. I don't know, man. How do you get a 9.8? Nobody played the game. I don't know. And if you don't like that, then you'll like this. Action 252, Lebanese.
No.
That's sweet.
Lebanese.
When was that printed?
Long ago, 70s-ish, 60s, 70s.
I thought you were going to be like, I don't know, I can't read it.
I can't. It's old,
You
though.
can read that. That's the twist.
It's older. It's definitely not the original time frame, but closer to than farther from. I actually missed one of these slabbed a year ago, and our buddy Josh Allen from Global Comic Safari snabbed it, but his had glue on the spine from being in a bind. I'm not 100% if this was in a bind or not, but I don't see them come up very often. You got to think Lebanon was the center of war and chaos from the 1980s through most of the 90s. So for anything to survive from there is amazing to me, and just crazy that it did. And just they look so foreign but so unique. I love collecting the Arabic Lebanese books. So to find an old one like this and a key, I will grab them anytime I see them.
Slick.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's yeah, man. I think you hit it out of the park. Very cool.
All right, that's
Nico?
me.
Oh Christ. I don't know. I'm like Stein. That cheap stuff I grab when I'm out. These are like $4 a piece. Those second prints. Got a couple of those. I like this. It's what's his name? Evil Fantastic Four Reed Richards.
The Maker or whatever.
The Maker's first appearance, second print.
I like that character.
Yeah, I like him too. $4. I always grab the dogs. I can't get enough of them.
The dogs?
Pizza Dog. Listen, Pizza Dog.
Jeff the Land Shark and Pizza Dog.
Well, yeah, but Pizza Dog is greater than Jeff the Land Shark. Start the hashtag, and then I take newsstand miles whenever I can get them. You know what I mean?
Nice.
All right. So this is crap I got from. Remember the Murder House? These are like more books from the Murder House.
Did you went back a second time?
No, this is just other stuff that wasn't important enough to show you the first time.
Oh, Vader's nice.
Nice.
This is fast.
Yeah, this is like you know what it is.
Catch it on YouTube.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Nova. Damn.
No, yeah. We'll just keep going.
Ooh,
Wait, is that
yeah.
a newsstand?
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Newsstand. They're all freaking newsstands, basically.
I like those Red Sonja #1s, man. Oh, nice.
Impy.
Love those Turtles books too.
Yeah, more Murder House stuff. Everybody loves the Murder House. Now the Spider-Man I overpaid for. I got a bunch of Spider-Man books. I was trying to set up a deal to go to look at more comics. So like I overpaid to try to get him to let me look at everything else. And then, you know, you're dealing with like fly-by-nights that never fucking happened. We'll see. Maybe it happens later. But I got this one and that one.
I can never find that book in the wild, man.
Which one?
The first Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger. That's a nice copy. I don't know if it's a 9.8, but it's a nice one. Remember when that was hot for a day?
Well, that one's dead, but yeah.
Yeah, that didn't happen. This is the no comic code.
Oh yeah.
The LSD issue.
Yeah, super happy.
Prowler.
I grab all the Prowlers I can see. I just do. Childish Gambino, and then hey, look, I even got one of these too.
Look at you.
It was a direct market though, not a newsstand. All right.
Oh, that sucks.
No, newsstand doesn't matter back then.
I was kidding.
Well, yeah, and I think it's got the. You want
They
to
sell for the same price. The
You
tattoo.
want to show people about the tattoo?
Yeah, you've
Are
got
the
them.
tattoos there?
Yeah.
You're gonna pull it out, and they're gonna fall out.
He's gonna put one on.
Like Brian eating the gum, put on the tattoo.
Yeah. So yeah. Da-da.
Nice.
So that's the insert, right? Everybody can see, and then on the back, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So see how it's like kind of perforated there, right?
Yeah.
And then look by where it says "to apply." Can you see through and see the freaking tattoo in there?
Yeah.
I can't see it. Bend it more.
Use some Steam.
$1,000 book, nah, but $400 book just so we can get like one extra review. Absolutely. Done.
Very cool. All right, Paul, what do you got? Anything?
I went through my stack and kind of sorted out some stuff. I got the Miss Marvel Women of Power.
That's such a good cover.
I got the Boys Dark Knight Homage.
I think that's a smart book.
I can't remember the spec. Wasn't there something about kids from this one? I don't know.
It's the first time they've given somebody the bunny ears on a cover.
I don't know. The cover looked familiar, and I couldn't remember why.
It's a good looking cover.
There was something in there. Anywho, it's probably dead spec. And some Spider Girl.
Love that book. Arthur Sidem killed that cover, man. Great cover.
It's your bestie.
Yeah, my bestie.
Sex Criminals 1, the Ghost variant.
Like that.
Sick, dude.
This one, if people don't know, was the last time, to my understanding, that Leia was printed in her slave outfit.
I did not know that.
Adam
That's
Hughes
amazing.
cover too, right?
The only time.
It's
Adam
a
Hughes.
huge cover.
Yeah.
Oh, the only time, and obviously Disney's like, we'll never.
No,
never do it. No.
So that's a cool one. I think back in Baltimore or Indiana, I think it was Indiana, John Brown had a 9.8. Somebody had a 9.8.
I bought it, but I've sold it since.
Yeah.
Regret it.
I just got, I don't know, in the sale, there's this little Marvel Comics presents Spider-Man. I don't know.
Nice.
Something picked up. Nothing really else too special in this pile. And I don't know why, but I picked up, if, I don't
You bought another statue.
No, I bought the Black Label, the Joe Hill Presents, the Hill House Comics, blah, blah, blah. I got the Dollhouse Family in 9.8, just because I think, I don't know, maybe they'll do something with those someday.
You got
Where
balls, man.
where did old Paul go with all the horrible shit you used to buy?
Shout out to, the Basket Full of Heads book is a big, big favorite of Laura from Comic Book Women. That's one of her favorite all-time books.
I read that series finally, Paul. When we talked about it, I did read it off of Hoopla.
What'd you think?
It was interesting.
I have it downloaded. I haven't read it yet. I don't know.
It was a good read.
Maybe
Is that it, Paul?
Maybe it'll pay off someday.
Lock and Key renewed for season 3. Paul, I think that's a smart move going on in those books, man. Buying them now when people aren't all freaked out about them.
Yeah.
You won't regret it.
Yeah. And real quick, to Segu on that, make sure everybody check out the Comic Book Woman show. That is every Tuesday on the Tales from the Flipside channel. You can see that at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. This week is going to be very, very interesting because they have Melissa Mazzaros on, who has a PR firm, a comic book PR firm called Don't Hide, that she started, which is very interesting. And she's going to talk about her role in that and in the comics industry in general. And it'll be interesting. So make sure you guys go check that out.
Yeah,
Pretty
she's
cool
smart. I'm excited about that episode.
Yeah. Deno, you got anything, man?
I got a bunch of stuff.
All right. Let's see what we got here.
As we're building the La Casa in the basement, the infinity pool, I had time to get on the old interwebs. I got me a Star Wars Heir to the Empire #1.
Bang bang.
Nice.
I ain't messing around, boys. We got Star Wars stuff. It's beef. It's beef. So we'll just throw that over there. Whatever. So I haven't used Craigslist in a while. I was called the king of Craigslist for a while. So I was like, I have some spare time. What can I do? $3.
Nice.
I think it's a 9.8, boys. I really do.
love it.
For
I think-
$3? Jeez.
What's that? $3? I think
Nice.
I think it's an $800 book.
Nice.
800. So that's going in the pile. And then so I got that for $3. I got the rest of these all for $3. I want to go. There's just dark metal. So he said these were side events and not main event books. So he's like, yeah, they're all $3. I'm like, oh, I'll just buy the whole lot. I'm not even gonna.
What? Side events?
Yeah, I don't even know what
I
you saw.
love that cover. That's one of my all-time favorite covers.
So this one, he shipped them like a kilo of cocaine. He had like a bubble mailer and then duct tape around it, and then he put it in a priority box. But whatever. I mean, he said he read them once and then put them back in a thing. No tape on the books. I'm like, ugh.
Oh, dude, that fucking freaks me out.
That's
when I
just like Midtown chips, right?
Yeah. So he basically covered them and then put them all in
Ouch.
a big package. I'm like, oh boy. But anyways, they came out pretty decent. So I'm really not that mad. I'll talk to him. My wife. So the story was I don't. She's like, who's Joseph Smith? Because it said Joseph Smith on the thing. Because I think his dad mailed him and he didn't know my name. And she almost turned the package away because Joseph Smith doesn't work here. She said, why are you opening up other people's mail? I'm like, because it's kilos of cocaine. I can't tell people who it really is.
You should have removed me from the podcast before you make that joke. You're in a lot of trouble now.
I know, it's fine. I'm not worried about it.
Did you get like the whole metal run?
Pretty much. Yeah, he had a whole bunch of these side event books. Well, I couldn't just buy Teen Titans 12. He wanted me to buy the whole thing for $30. I'm like, whatever, dude. So there's another one. I don't, and dude, are these even worth anything? I have no idea.
Yes, they are, dude. They are, surprisingly.
You Red Death too?
Yeah.
Deno doesn't even know any of this shit. So.
Yeah,
A lot of that stuff is starting to heat up really well. All
That's
the
exactly
tie-ins. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's like some of them are gonna pop. You watch.
There you go.
So
that's the non-foil? Was that the second print? Is that what that was?
That is third print.
Third print. Okay.
Not bad.
So
Smart.
Uncle Deno over here went back and he asked for all the Green Lantern books. He has Jessica Cruz, Justice League 50, and Flashpoint books for hopefully $3 a piece. So this one, and this is the last one. This other.
Not bad.
I
mean,
love
very
Dino
good.
going deep on DC, man.
You want to see me out here, bro?
Gun show.
Yeah, so I thought the Teen Titans, because I've been heavy on Teen Titans 12 for a while. I don't know how many books I got, boys. Probably like 7, 8 of them, maybe. I don't know. I got a 9.4 all the way to Raws, and dude, they were just smashed. And this one isn't smashed for some reason, which is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro.
Cool. I mean, so I'm gonna send this one with Nico's next CGC submission. That's what I told him. So.
Yeah.
Because I only have one book I'm getting graded. So.
Well, I'm unfortunately just sending books in like fucking nonstop. And I got some books that came in, and a lot of these are unfortunately because I go on the Drunken Chat Son podcast and drink with those fools.
Before I cut you off for a second, what happened to your boy? Remember he stumbled upon that thing? Remember all those big books?
Well, I'll tell you about that right now. A lot of those big books are at our good buddy's house right now getting a little press. And then they go straight to CGC. So there will be more unboxing of those big CGC.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of books that we talked about tonight in very high grade. So, all right. Let's see here. Yeah. So this is a lot of my Drunken Chat Son buys. More of these. The Dr. Aphra variants that I love. The Women of Power variants. This is the Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur one. These are the all new Hawkeye. I can't remember which variants these were. If these are Aja. Yeah.
I would buy any Aja variant right now.
Yeah. So I bought that's my fourth one of those just because Paul brought these up. There's 3 of these in this package.
Oh, nice. What did the Aja Hawkeyes cost? Because I got a place that's got some of them. I could probably go back and snag them.
He's
going to charge me market.
This is a book I really like because I always like these Sun covers. Well, not all of them because most of them are trash. But this one I think is the best Sun cover next to the Captain Marvel one. Mm. This is the Gwenpool one, and I like how she's in the toy machine thing. She's got them all around her.
I didn't even know about that one.
Yeah, so I really like that one, and I think this is one of the best times she's been drawn. It just looks really good, man. So, I picked up one of these Teen Titan 100s because can't remember which show it was. Somebody was showing it off, and when I got to buy one of those. So
I watched
really
the
like
show, but I don't remember which one.
What a great cover. I mean, look at that. It's all the characters, all the
that's a good one.
Titans. Yeah.
Do you know who drew that, Brian?
I don't. Let me see here. It's really small because it's a big piece, so it's really small on the side. I don't.
It's okay.
Don't.
I'll look it up. It's cool.
All right, these came in the mail from IDW. Jimenez? Phil Jimenez?
Yep.
Okay.
So these came from IDW. These were I can't remember if they were the New York Comic Con exclusives or what, but this is the Star Wars Adventures IDW Con exclusive.
Nice.
That's good.
Yeah, this was just a no-brainer. This is the same. It's the G.I. Joe one.
Dude, that's such a great cover.
Greatest action figure ever produced in history right here. Version 2 Snake Eyes.
Yeah, get out. That's just a classic in the making.
Yeah. Picked up 5 of these. Black Harriet, the 1 in 5 Harriet Tubman.
You lucky bastard. Good job.
Yeah. I think they were like $4 a piece or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I picked up a lot of these.
Yeah,
good
something's
for
gonna
you,
happen.
dude.
Something's going to happen with her.
Yeah. And this is the number 1 variant. This is the not the story thus far variant. And
Right.
this is,
I didn't even know about those, and then I watched, and I'm like, Mother Mary and Joseph.
Yeah,
were
this
gone.
is shout out to Ultra Maximus and Drunken Chat Son. I love these 2 droids. Love the character. Love that it's a number 1 and it's a variant, and it's tough to get because it was a percentile qualifier on another issue, and I'm not sure what issue it was. That was like, it was ridiculous because you had to buy like 20% or 150% more of like a really high printed Star Wars book or something like that. So anyways, and then I got this because it's another one of those Women of Power variants, but I love the cover. Captain America number 7.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah.
Wow.
You did a good job with those. I watched them too late after everybody took all the cheap ones.
And
But I
this-
love these qualifiers.
Yeah. This is a big one, I guess, already. I just liked it, and I thought it's one of the few Pichimokos that I like that I'll buy. The Champions variant.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So the problem is it's should be a 9.8, but the problem is that it came in one of these Gemini mailers, right? And the person taped it to this part in not painter's tape. They literally taped the book to it. So in order to remove it,
Oh, Christ.
don't do that, please. Like, I've been so screwed in shipping. That happened, and at the same time, a guy sent a first Peach Momoko in print magazine to me in a self-made box. He cut up pieces of cardboard and
Oh my
taped them to
gosh.
make a box,
I fucking give
and
up.
didn't put the magazine in anything, and it completely detached the cover.
Yeah, we need to have another little 2-minute tutorial on shipping.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
Just don't use shipping tape on the book. Just don't do that. For any
or
reason.
and the
whatsoever.
other one I also like is don't put tape on the spine.
yeah.
You don't
Never.
need to do that. You can
Ever.
just put the tape on the top and the bottom and hold it all nice and snug.
Yeah.
Little extra size, a little bigger cardboard. I mean, it's just a little TLC.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. It's sad, but it is what it is. And you guys, thank you for watching us. We appreciate it. Monday Night Football is crazy, so a lot of you guys were watching us instead of that, and that was great. Shout out to everybody who commented. Yeah, make sure you guys keep an eye on the Tales from the Flipside channel. We got a lot of great shows coming. Comic Book Women is doing really good things. Tales from the Darkside is doing really good things. This Saturday Night Live that Nico's doing with Modern Playbook, you guys, is a lot of fun. So make sure you guys tune in that when you get a chance. A lot of fun going on over the Tales from the Flipside channel. So make sure you guys tune in, subscribe, hit the bell. And other than that, we will see you guys next time. Peace.